What are some not so obvious signs that someone has deep sadness? Tiredness. Sometimes people who are always clowning around and trying to make other people laugh are miserable themselves. I think they don't want anyone else to feel as bad as they do. Someone who overshares to everyone. I have a lot of lonely old women come into my job, and if they start blabbing about random shit but always listen intently because they usually don't have anyone else to tell it to. Depression affects your memory. If someone seems to forget everything, it could be a symptom. When you ask them how they are doing, they are vague or deflect. They isolate. You don't notice. Plus, a serene demeanor. It feels like nothing can shake them or make them angry. Everyone tells me I'm the most chill person they know. They mistake it for happiness or peace of mind. Truth, I'm just so dead inside that I don't have the energy to get upset anymore. I have no dreams, ambitions, or goals. Just coasting through. Surprisingly, sometimes they are the literal beam of joy that lights up the whole room. They don't want others to experience what they experience. Also, this reminds me of the adage of how the ones who shine the brightest are the quickest ones to burn out. If you've experienced it yourself, you can see it in their eyes. Not their general demeanor, but those brief split-second periods where the mask slips. Avoiding conversations regarding himself. Self-isolation. It's not that they don't engage with others, more that they don't feel a need to. There's a gulf between where they are and the pleasant and myriad small social engagements others just take for granted. It shows in everyone differently. A spotless house vs an extremely messy house. The funny friend, the brightest in the room, always down to do something vs the flaky friend who always cancels and are quiet or need a lot of convincing to get out. Weight gain/weight loss. I'm sure I could find more. It's usually in the extremes. One is the obvious, what you expect out of sadness. The doom and gloom. The other is over the top happy. They can always tell when someone else is upset before everyone else. Like they have emotionally predictive arthritis in their joints. Emo. People who have deep sadness don't want to think about daily life, so they spend their time thinking about very large abstract concepts, philosophy, scientific discovery, space, time, complexities in literature/film/etc. Any topic that is vast, subjective, or unsolved. I'm not saying everyone who likes these topics are sad people, but if you know someone who's usually a really quiet person, ask them what they think about black holes. If it turns into a multi-hour conversation, they're probably going through some shit. A flatness to their personality, flat affect. Realizes almost everything posted describes myself. Spaghettio's hushed face. Constantly checking in on other people because that's what they want in return. Being overly caring for people. Apologizing constantly. Posture is a big one. Speaking from a certain level of personal experience, being angry and making hateful comments is a common sign, so is diving into extremist ideology. Hurt people, and to quote Christian Picciolini, a former skinhead, show compassion to those who deserve it the least because they're the ones who need it the most. Obviously there are limits to that, but generally if someone comes off as bitter, angry, hateful, extremist, or anything under those lines, I at least pity them inside because I know that they're a sad, angry person who for whatever reason feel the need to lash out at others. Maybe this is a more obvious sign than I thought, but it's still worth saying. Emo. Anybody can hide sadness. A heart for the world. A heart for our family and friends. A heart for ourselves. I'm withdrawn when I am sad cause I don't want others to ask me why I am sad. Usually people don't hear from me for a bit. The funnier someone is, the more miserable they tend to be. / every famous comedian ever. Deep compassion. People who have truly suffered live in a different world to those whose biggest problem is finding the perfect genes. I used to get irritated at the smallest things. Then the universe spent 7 years showing me hell. The robot has been green for 2 full seconds and the guy in front of me hasn't moved yet? No problem. A million small things a day that would irritate me I no longer even register. If someone is rude I wonder what is causing them suffering. I see photos of me from 7 years ago. I don't recognize that person at all. Behind on tasks, underperforming expectations, not asking for help, insisting everything is okay. When that person is the therapist friend, you know they're going through something. They help everyone else to distract themselves from their own issues, and because they know no one is there to help them, so they do what they can to help others. You ask someone how they're doing and they say I am doing so great. Usually when people ask how I'm doing, the real answer is I'm doing shitty, but I can't say I'm doing shitty, because I don't even have a good reason to be doing shitty. So if I say, I'm doing shitty, then they say, why? What's wrong? And I have to be like, I don't know, all of it. So instead, when people ask me how I'm doing, I usually say, I am doing so great. Happy to give shit away at random because well I won't need this for long. When people have the big sad they can often lose interest in things they once found pleasurable. Overly tender and gentle with everyone around them, externalizing the self-care they need. This is a corollary to the clown others have mentioned. Projection. In the criticizing in others what you consciously and subconsciously hate about yourself sense. The more bubbly I am with others, the sadder I am. I'm not lying or doing it on purpose, I am genuine in those moments. But the sadness if just lurking under the surface at all times. It could be for many other reasons, but sudden bursts of anger followed by remorse. At least for me that's been a big part of my depression. I have such a negative view of the world, and sometimes that manifests as intense bursts of anger and rage, because things feel hopeless and irreparably awful. Then 10 minutes later, the initial rage cools down, and I realize I was seeing red and regret what I said or did. I don't want to be an angry person, but sometimes things get to be too much and it's uncontrollable. That in and of itself fuels the shame and negative self-image that caused the anger in the first place. Someone who can't seem to do anything for themselves but is always helping other people. Really funny people. Anyways, I'm doing stand-up comedy soon. The look in their eyes, you can smile all you want but true sadness or depression always shows in the eyes. Their need to always want to make others happy. Pausing. Basically almost dissociating, sometimes someone will just stop doing something as if all energy has been sucked out in a millisecond. Like they'll be chatting then the next second they kinda mentally check out then check back in. Or they'll be walking then just stop for a sec for no reason in particular then keep going almost immediately or after a long pause. It's almost like they just kinda want to stop existing for a sec, I don't know. But it's so quick or subtle to the point it's kinda hard to notice unless you really observe them. Having a lot of pets isn't necessarily a direct sign of past traumas such as sexual assault, but for some people, pets can provide comfort and a sense of security. A connection with a dog, for example, can serve as a source of emotional support and stability. People often find solace in the unwavering love and trustworthiness of their dogs, relying on them as sources of comfort. Made me think of this ad. https://udo.be/tx8tgvr33km?si=KS62uezhgcakws Always cold or loves warmth. Warmth mimic human touch, which has healing properties. No human touch equals sadness. Someone who loves tea, burning hot showers, or weighted/heated blankets probably lacks human touch.